Howdy, folks. I'm Jeff. And
And,
I'm
and there's John, and I'm Cecil.
and
Hello,
there's
kids.
Howdy.
and we got Cecil J. Bullard here to complete the J&J show tonight. And of course, the third Wednesday of every month is sponsored by the Institute. And we're talking about the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence. And we so much appreciate Cecil and Kent and the whole crew that sponsors us and allows us to get out. And you'll be seeing more of us out this year. The next travel date is actually will be at Vision. And so be sure and look for us and our banner out there, and we'll be ready to share everybody's story. And tonight we have the special edition, and we only get to do this every so often with Cecil because he stays so busy, is we have the special edition of Ask Cecil. And Kent's there, and Kent's going to talk about Mars. That's a huge event that everybody needs to know about and participate in. And we see we've got quite a few people here. And remember, we got this on a recording. So we'll go back and break it up and then put the whole recording on YouTube and then break up for the different, some shorts out of each different speaker. So let's start off with, since it is the Institute's night, with Cecil and Ask Cecil. So, Cecil, before I open it up to all the other folks, is there anything you want to share, or otherwise I'll give you the first question?
No, I would say ask away.
Well, Cecil, the big thing that I notice on all the forums is all of these guys are asking, all these guys and gals are asking, oh my gosh, it's slow. What do I do now? What do I address my marketing? Do I address my Facebook? What's up with my Google ads? Do I increase the volume there on what I'm spending? Oh, what do I do? And to me, it's like, hey, you're kind of like 2 months too late.
I think there's multiple answers to the question. I'm going to say something self-serving to start, and that is, first of all, attend the Mars conference, Marketing for Auto Repair Shops, here at the Institute in March, because we're going to have top marketing people here, some of the best in the industry for everything, every part of it, talking about what to do. We're going to actually sit down and help people with their marketing plans as part of that, along with some of our top, those top people in the industry, that the people that I go to for my mentorships that I ask questions about. So that we'll get that out of the way. I'm sure Kent's going to talk about that in some point.
Well,
second,
along that line, Cecil, is when you talk about Mars and the experts and marketing, that's like something that you have to pay attention to all year long. And if you have questions, if you're not sure how to do it, I heard that when they leave the Mars conference, that they're actually going to have a plan of action.
They are actually. We're going to work with them on the last day to make sure that they walk away with some good bits and pieces, and it'll be the top experts that will work with them on that. So again, Kent will probably talk about that. Let's first of all, something that you should be doing all the time is monitoring your car count and monitoring your marketing. So what am I doing? What am I spending money on? How is that return on investment? And then also, I had spreadsheets that showed car count and ARO monthly, so I could say to myself, okay, well, last January was a bit of a slowdown, because the minute the weather hits, it slows down. And so, first of all, don't panic. Compare the same time period last year to this year, and if you are down, is it a normal trend? Is there something going on in the world today that might create that trend? And realize that trend is not going to exist for a long period of time. Cars have to be fixed. They have to be maintained. People know that. where it's going to cost them more money. So, take a deep breath. If I am tracking my marketing, and I'm on top of my marketing, I kind of know that January is probably going to be a little slow. February might be a little slow. And I'm going to start in the beginning, uh, um, meaning I'm going to do something in December, because I know January is normally or potentially a slow period. Um, and I'm not gonna just wait until times get tough to say, okay, now I need to pick up my marketing. I need to have a marketing plan. I need to be measuring and managing. If I'm going to spend money on marketing, I need to know that what I'm doing is going to work for me. Uh, so a lot of times we'll talk to shops. Can't yes, jump in anytime you want. A lot of times we'll talk to shops and you're like, okay, well, what's your return on investment on that? When I spend money on the J&J show, how does that return come to me? If I spend that money somewhere else, is that a better return? Or if I spend money on my website, what do I spend? How do I get what comes back? Okay. And I think I would also say that if you think that you're going to do your website and your own SEO, SEM, and your social media and all that, most of you are not equipped to do that. I don't even do it for my own company, neither does Kent. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough about it. The
Well,
people that Go ahead.
imagine, I mean, how many of you out there were technicians and moved into the ownership position, right? It's a whole brand new set of skills that you had to learn, the competencies you had to gain. It's the same thing when it comes to your marketing. If you guys decide to take that on, that's a full-time job. It has its own set of skills and talents that you need in order to do that effectively. So trying to do it yourself can be really time-consuming and often ineffective.
When we get a new client, we run a brief report on their marketing, and most of the time it's abysmal. Load speeds are bad. Keywords, there's not enough of the right keywords on the site. So I'm not, when someone searches for me or searches for auto electric or mechanic or whatever, they don't see me because I don't have what I need to be in the right places. Google is all important. Like it or not, something like 92% of the searches happen there. Almost all searches are done on phones today. 82% of the people buy from the Google Maps section. So if you're not there on the key searches that people would make, you're invisible. There's a joke I heard a while back that basically, where's the best place to hide a dead body? And the answer is page 2 of Google, because nobody goes there, right? So, we often, I've got this person who's doing my website, they're a friend of mine, they're a cousin of mine, they're whatever. It may not be good enough. And so even today, when we bought Arlo training 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, whatever it was, and I went to my first meeting, most of the people there were doing direct mail. That was their main thing they were doing, spending thousands. And direct mail has maybe a 1-to-1 return on investment. If I spend $2,000, I might get 2,000 back. In general, from what we've seen from direct mail, the responses are not what they used to be. They're not as good. It's all website today. I mean, if you don't have a good website, if it doesn't have the right tags, if it's not have the right keywords in it, we even have to be careful because some of the website companies, they have too many people in the same area, so they're splitting up keywords. So I might be invisible for BMW when that's what I want the most, and they're giving me Jeep the most when that's not what I want. So we got to be careful. We got to monitor and manage, but I'm not qualified to try to do our own SEO, SEM. I'm not. I won't do it. And I probably know, a lot because I'm constantly talking about, I'm constantly working with my mentors, people that I trust that do a great job in those areas. I'm constantly asking questions. And, I have shops that they come to me and they say, geez, we're slow. What do we do? Well, first of all, get a hold of the marketing company that you're working with on your website and your SEO, SEM, and have a conversation. Google made whatever it was over 400 changes last year. So that's more than one a day. And what worked yesterday may not be working today. Because
that's why it's so important to track this stuff. Because if it drops, you've got car count drops and you're hitting a slow period. If you're tracking that data, you can go in and see which of those channels that you have has dropped in performance. Maybe it's your mailers, maybe it's your community that you're involved in, right? If you're not tracking the lead source, then it's very hard to differentiate what marketing is bringing you clients, right? If I've invested in my website or invested in my, something else that I'm trying to, promote out there, if you're not tracking that, then you don't know the effectiveness and whether or not it's continually going to be giving you results, right? If I do go on and I see that my SEO's, my website traffic has dropped and I'm not getting phone calls that way, then that's something I could pursue with my website. But if you don't know, then it's hard to start anywhere.
So when I was running the shop, not only did I track every dollar that went out and every dollar that came in, not one customer could come in my shop that I didn't have an ad code attached to that client so I could run a report. Even existing customers with existing cars had their own ad code, because a blank doesn't tell me, are they in my system already, or did they come from somewhere else? And today, when someone says, well, I found you online, you have to ask the second question, which is, was there something that directed you there? So I had a spreadsheet that showed we spent this much money on, I don't even want to say it, Yellow Pages, is dating me back, this much on our website, this much on local stuff, this much on our BNI group, this much on the chamber. And this is what came from that. I also tracked it by, so ad source and return on investment, money spent and money coming in. But I also tracked it by by vehicle type. And strangely enough, Jeeps and Land Rover were our highest ticketed items. And our lowest ticketed at the time, and again, this dates me, is Saturn. And so I don't want to spend my marketing dollars for Saturn. Today you can't; they're gone. But I don't want to spend my marketing dollars for something that's not bringing me a good average repair order. It's going to decrease my productivity, create more work, more tickets. And so I should be tracking what's going on, because then tracking helps me to understand what's happening so I can spend my money in the best places. And then if I'm tracking my success or lack of it, at the very least, I can have intelligent conversations with whoever I'm paying to do what I'm doing, what I want.
I'll throw another wrench in this, by the way.
What
about, suffice it to say, if you're having a slow day, is it that maybe we even stop doing proper inspections? Maybe we're not, did our AROs drop, right? Are we doing all of the work that's on the vehicles that are in the shop right now that's available to us?
I track 5 numbers daily in my shop. Sales, what do we sell? What was our average repair order? What was our productivity? I always forget one. What did we finish? What did we get done? And there's one more. But tracking these numbers every day, if I think I'm slow, I might look at it and go, well, no, I'm not. My average repair order really dropped. So my sales dropped. We had a drop in average repair order of $250. And we had 13 cars a day. So you're talking about more than $3,000 a day. And at the end of one day, I looked at it and I said, okay, maybe that's a fluke. Maybe I just had a lot of oil services today. And so I watched it the second day and it was down 250. And I watched it the third day and it was down 250. Well, now I got to do something. So I talked to my service advisors. I said, hey, our average repair order is down dramatically. If you think about, 3,000 less in sales every day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, you might say, wow, I was really slow, but you really weren't, right? You just weren't doing, your sales wasn't working because somebody had their head in the wrong place. And so I talked to my service advisor and I said, hey, I really need you to focus on sales, and I really need you to really put extra effort in that. After they said no, I want you to ask again. I don't want you to be annoying, but let's try and sell. Let's really try and sell. And I shook his hand. He went out of my office, and our average repair order went up by $400. And all of a sudden, we weren't slow. If we are slow, one of the things that we've seen sometimes is when it slows down, our average repair order actually drops because the employees are getting, they're like, the techs are all out there going, oh no, it's the end of the world. We don't have enough cars. And they're not really looking the cars over and taking advantage of the cars. When our car count drops, we should actually sell a higher average repair order. We have more time to look the car over. We have more time to build a relationship with the client. And we should have some things in place like a slow day action plan, or what I call 20 calls. So if I am slow, we had a process in our shop. We called it 20 calls. Some other people call it a slow day action plan. I want my service. If we don't have 13 appointments in my shop, then I want my service advisors to get on the phones and start making phone calls. And they have to make either 3 appointments or 20 calls. And the first calls we make are people that had appointments that didn't show up. So you're supposed to be here, you're not here. Or you weren't here last week or the week before. Oftentimes those things kind of go by the wayside. The second thing is people that had things that they needed over the last 4 to 6 months that they didn't buy. That's an easy phone call to make. Hey, you were here 5 months ago and you needed this, and I just wanted to check on you and make sure that you got that taken care of. Or if not, then let's get it in the shop and get it taken care of, because now it's even more important. And then the last set of calls for us was anybody we hadn't seen in about 8 months to about 3 years. I always had a list of that, and hey, we're updating our database. Want to make sure we have the right address, phone number for you, etc. And oh, by the way, I'm looking here and I see you haven't been in 14 months. Is someone taking care of the car? Did we do something wrong? I don't mind having that conversation there, because it's a chance to bring somebody in that I haven't seen for a while. And so I want to have a slow day action plan. There's other things too that you can do. A lot of people will say, okay, that's the time to send out that email with the discount. I hate discounts. I don't want my customers to think, I don't want them waiting for discounts to make their appointments. So, once or twice a year, we got slow enough that I did a pizza day. I sent a message out. I said, hey, it's January. It's really cold out. We're a little slow. For the first 10 customers that make an appointment, you get a large pizza at Giuseppe's Pizza on us. And we actually made 9 appointments within an hour and a half of sending that out to our client database. You can't do that every month. You shouldn't do that every month. But if you did that once a year when it was really slow, or you did a survey when it was slow, sending a survey out to your clients just to remind them that you're there. And so, if you're slow today, I would also tell you that you're probably slow not because of your price. A lot of people, we had a client that we worked with, and of course, one of the first things that coaches do, raise your labor rate, etc. Smile for me, Craig. He's got one of the best effective labor rates in the industry today. But the first time I told him to raise his labor rate, he was very, but the coaches come in and we say, raise your labor rate. And so we had a guy we worked with about 3 months in, he slowed down and he calls me. He's like, oh my God, everybody knows how we raised our prices and all of our clients have left. And so I said, okay, well, what's your car count? And they had more cars in the shop than they had the previous months. Their average repair order dropped. So you have a car count problem. You have an inspection problem. Your opportunity dropped. Your techs aren't inspecting the cars. We started looking at inspections, and out of 88 cars, there were only like 7 inspections actually completed. So we need to make sure we're inspecting those cars and talking to the customer about what they need and building that relationship. So sometimes the marketing problem we think we have is not really a marketing problem. I will tell you, and everybody's saying, oh my God, there's going to be a recession. The times are tough. Shops do better in tough times. I'm sorry. I can't afford a new car. I'm going to, keep the car I have. We actually have right now we have probably higher average repair orders in the industry than we've seen because people are keeping the cars they have longer. It was almost 14 years now. And they're spending more money on the cars they have. Make sure you're looking those cars over, and make sure so when I talk about marketing, there are, I don't know, 100 things that I can do. And I could do TV and radio and direct mail and spend a ton of money. But out of all those things, there's 7 things I absolutely have to do. Number one, I need to have a good website. And I don't even necessarily mean pretty. Pretty's nice. Attractive's nice. But I mean, it needs to be set up for Google. And whoever's doing it needs to make sure that the tags and the keywords and all those things, SEO, SEM, it's all right on the site. And the only reason website is number 1 on my list is because everything Google does is about your website. It takes it off your website. Your customers, a majority of the people that will even search you will not ever get to your website, but everything Google knows about you, well, not everything, because it also looks at if you have a YouTube channel, if you're doing other social media, it pulls some of that data in. But your website is where it gets the basic information. We had a decrease for one of our clients this week, and I'm talking to him, and he's got 2 different companies doing 2 different websites. You can't have that. Google doesn't like that. All the addresses have to match. All the phone numbers have to match. Google thinks you're gaming the system if you have 2 sites with the same address, same phone number. Get you in trouble. Can't have it. So you got to have a good website. Next, SEO, SEM. Somebody that knows what they're doing has to be managing that. That's as important as having a website. Because if you're on page 2, if you're not in the Google Maps section, you're done. You're not going to get the majority of the people that are going to search for that have a problem today, that money in their pockets, that want to spend money. Number 3, God forbid, 15 years ago, somebody asked me about social media, and I said, that crap's not going to take off. You don't need to be worried about that. But now, 15 years later, social media is a big deal. And some of what Google gets comes off of whatever social media you're doing, your Facebook page, your YouTube channel, your whatever. And so you need to be current, relevant content. You need to be creating and putting content on that is relevant to the searches that you want, the kind of jobs you want, the kind of cars you want. You need to have that. That's my number 3. Number 4, are you booking the customer's next appointment? You want to do something to actually level your car count out and increase your car count? Won't help you today, won't help you tomorrow, but 4 months from now, it'll help you if you are actually booking their next appointment. And people tell me all the time, well, when they come in for a service, we try to book their next appointment. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, everybody that shows up at the shop, I don't care if you came in for a tire fix. I would look at your service sticker, and if it was somebody else's, I'd peel it off and put one of mine up there. If you hadn't been in for a service in the last 4 months, I would say it's time to service the car, and I would get you on a schedule. If you were just in a month ago, I'd put you on my schedule 5 months from now. And I would give you an appointment. When you left, you had an appointment. You had a Post-it note packet with 50 Post-it notes with your appointment on the top. And I handed this to every single client when they left and said, I know you don't know what you're doing 5 months from now, but we've given you an appointment. We did it on Wednesday because today's Wednesday and that's where you came in. Now, don't worry about it, because 3 weeks before your appointment, we're going to send you a message saying you have an appointment. At that point, if you can't make it, if you're not ready, let us know. We'll reschedule. And 3 days before, someone's going to call you from our shop and say, just to remind you that you have an appointment. Now, we set aside time with the tech, so if you can't make it, no worries, we'll take care of it. And I sent you out with that, every client. Nobody left my shop without an appointment. And there were a few people that said, I don't want an appointment. Out of the 13 cars we had every day, I probably had 2 or 3 that said, I don't want an appointment. And so I didn't give them an actual appointment, but I put them in the system so that 5 months from now, they've got a thing saying, hey, it's time to service your car. Right? And so some of the shops they're not They're not managing that as the car's coming through. Well, hell, if you're at my shop today, kind of means you probably like us and you like what we do for you, or you wouldn't be here. So I'm going to schedule your next appointment. And I'm not going to ask you, because if you ask 10 people if they want an appointment, the only people that would actually say yes are really old ladies and men with the white hair, and they'll pull out their calendar and put an appointment on. But anyone else is going to tell you no. So you don't ask. You tell them you have an appointment, and then you manage it. And you manage it with your CRM, customer retention management. You need to have a good CRM system. Number 5. And that's something that basically when a new customer comes in, it sends something out, says, thank you very much. We really appreciate you. We hope that, we want to make sure that everything went all right. If you have any questions or whatever, send us a message. If not, we've got you set up for your next appointment. We'll take care of that, right? So just something that sends messages out at the right time. And we call it customer retention management. And by the way, if you have Mitchell and you have customer retention management in Mitchell, great. But if you're not taking advantage of that, if you don't have things set up automatically, then who cares that you have it? You need something that will send out those messages routinely. My number 5, oh my gosh, 6 and 7, a referral program. Do I have a referral program? And I hate discounts. Did I say that already? So I'm not going to give you a free oil change for a referral. I'm going to have a script. We did at our shop. When I took your money, I still had your keys in my hand. I said, before you leave, Jeff, I need a promise from you. And every single customer said one of 2 or 3 things. Sure, Cecil, no problem. Or depends on what it is. Great. It's really 2 things. Number 1, you're going to get a call from us in 3 days to say, did it all go well, basically. We're going to ask you a few questions, but it's really about, did you have a good experience? Did you get what you needed? Is the car running great? If you can say yes to those questions, do you mind recommending us to family and friends? Oh, no, Cecil, don't mind at all. Great. Here's 2 business cards. I've written your name on the back. 3 days from now, when somebody calls you and says, hey, did everything go well? If it did, please hand these out to family and friends and tell them how great we are. Okay. Now, here's where the promise comes into play. If you can't hand them out, I need you to call me personally. My number's on the card, because I want to make sure that everything went well for you. So if something didn't go well, I want to make sure we take care of it. Right. And I shook their hand and sent them out the door. Our referrals doubled when I put that in play. We were trying to do free oil changes and stuff like that before. It never worked. We actually went to 19 referrals a month when we went with that program. And when somebody came in and I didn't have them in my database, and I asked that question, how'd you find us? And they said, well, Jeff sent me. I said, well, Jeff, he's one of our favorite clients. I'm sure that you're going to be great. Kent, I really look forward to working with you. And then I kept track of what Jeff liked. If I had Jeff in the shop and I saw fishing gear in the back, I sent him something to Bass Pro. I sent him a $25 gift certificate to Bass Pro Shops. If he had guns, I might have sent him a gift certificate to the gun store. If the customer only spent $50, which, by the way, our average ticket was almost $800 at the time, then I might send him a coffee mug, or I might send him cookies or brownies. We do have an online system that does that, where I can send brownies. And I always send a personalized note. I said, please think about us when you have these brownies. When you eat them, they're the best in the world. And I had so many customers go, man, I got your brownies. I got your gift certificate. Thank you so much. And if somebody came and spent $5,000, I'm sending you dinner for 2 at a nice restaurant in town, because I know the restaurant guys, because I work locally. So number 7, local involvement. Chamber, Rotary, BNI. You should be involved in that stuff. And you need to go and you need to shake hands or have somebody go and shake hands and talk about your business. That's what BNI is for. And I have clients that tell me, well, I tried that, but our BNI group really sucks, or our chamber sucks. And my answer to that is, you get out what you put in. So you have the opportunity to make a BNI group great. So get in there and participate. Make it great. You have an opportunity to improve the chamber. And by the way, who's my best customer? Other business owners that have cars in no time. Love them. Bring your car to me. I'll take care of it. And they also have money because they have a business. Not every one of them. Some of them are cheap, but I say in sales, let's I'm married, so I'm not going to go dating. But let's say that I wasn't, and I was going to go dating, and I asked one woman today. I saw somebody I was attracted to, and I went up and said, "Hey, I'm attracted to you. I'd love to take you out to dinner. What are the odds that I'm going to get a date? I'm old, I'm white-haired. I don't know, maybe I only asked one, I'm probably not going to get a date. But what if I asked 100? I'm pretty sure I'd have some dates. It's the same thing. If you don't do it, if you say, well, I can't book appointments, too hard. Well, you're not going to get appointments. If you say, well, I don't have any time for the chamber, the Rotary, or the BNI group, well, then you're not going to get clients from there. So, you need to have a marketing plan. You need to have routine things that you're doing, but those 7 need to be core. And I need to be measuring and managing routinely for marketing. Okay, so, and you need to come to the Mars conference because it's literally the best marketing conference, period. Craig,
I'd have to say,
previous? Did you come to the one before, Craig? Yeah. Was it any good?
You're muted.
You could
we came to one a few years back, and it's one of those things where you hope to get a few tidbits, and by the time I was done, I had like 7 or 8 pages of things to do, and then got hooked up with one of the folks you had brought in. We ended up liking it so much that we tied in with Dan, and big, real game changer. It was a real eye opener on how the marketing has changed and how you need somebody out there. And the Mars conference definitely was provided that.
Okay, thank you for that. Now I'll let Kent talk about it for just a moment, and then we'll ask whatever other questions we got.
Well,
Kent, before you start, let me touch on a couple of deals here. Some people came in about halfway, and some people listen to this and they won't catch the whole deal. Number one is, I love these 7 ideas. If we could just take these, put these out on all these groups, and these folks would just go, huh? What? The biggest deal I'm hearing you say is we know how to fix cars, and most of the time we know how to run our shops, but we're not the professional. The customers come to us because we're the professionals to fix their cars, but we're not always the professionals on marketing and doing these other things. That's one of the great things I really appreciate about the Institute is you actually partner with a couple of these that are on our board. And Craig mentioned Dan, as being the expert. And you've mentioned to me, hey, I reach out to Dan because he's the expert. And so a lot of times we just need to say, hey, just like we hire a coach, hey, I don't know everything. Let's get the opinions from the coach. Hey, we don't know everything about marketing and social media. Let's reach out to the professional that does.
And when we're doing marketing, we should have a budget for that. It should be between about 5 and about 9% of our sales. And so I'm going to turn it over to someone that I believe is a professional, but I'm also going to manage and measure it to make sure, and I'm going to track it so that when it might drop off, I have a conversation with my marketing professional. I don't expect my car to run perfectly all the time just because you worked on it once. When something happens with my car, I want to call my car professional and say, hey, I've got a problem. Can you help me? And I think you do the same thing with your marketing professionals. In my opinion,
marketing.
Go ahead, Ken.
Step 2.
Marketing is. Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, Jeff.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say marketing itself is so expensive, not only in the cost itself, but the fact that your business runs and needs marketing. You need to be attracting new customers and need to be retaining existing customers. And I think if you look at what we're talking about today is having a strategy behind your marketing, a fully fledged thought out plan, if you're going to invest the time, energy, and money into this, that you need to know what you're doing to some degree. And I think even just referencing what we talked about today, some of the best things to do when you're having a slow period is to, one, look at what you're currently doing. What work do you have in the shop? Are you leveraging that enough? Number two, what work haven't you done of existing customers? Look at deferred or work that hasn't been sold. You can call them and bring them back in, right? Then you can go to your networks. People, these are high leverage items. They're not costly to start, but you can get that revenue in then, and then you kind of work your way out towards, okay, now that I've gone through all of my existing customers, all the work that I have, the networks that I have, now let's talk about pursuing new clientele. I think, when shop owners have a slow day, their biggest jump is, oh, man, I need to throw a bunch of money into attracting new customers. When you guys already have a substantial amount of work that isn't being leveraged, and start there and then move towards your marketing. But then also, if you're going to pursue marketing with new customers, have a plan, have something that is thought out so that when you do spend that money, it's spent thoughtfully.
I would also be cautious because every day I get 5 emails from quote unquote marketing companies that have looked at my site and, there's something wrong and blah, blah, blah. And we measure and manage everything. We know what's going on. And so it's just people trying. I don't want to listen to those people. I want to listen to people that I trust. Okay. And so, if I want, I'll have somebody run a report on my system. I'll go, they'll go to Google, they'll check out what's going on, or I might take a look. But if you do look at your own and you try to search your own, make sure you're using what do they call it? An invisible or hang on, Cecil, a private window. So it's not tracking. It's because Google knows what you've looked for in the past. And if you've opened your website on your computer and you've looked at your own website even multiple times, Google is going to return that to you more often. And you're not getting a real look into what's happening. So, don't trust all these people that are just throwing crap at you, because you're going to get a lot of that. Ask questions.
It's easy to get pulled in a bunch of different directions when you don't have a plan in place.
Yeah. I would only work with somebody that, we have people that have really good track records. Those are the people we recommend. We try very hard at the Institute to only work with the top tier, people that know what they're doing. And both the marketing companies we recommend, they're people I use as mentors, and I know what they do. And one of the things I like about them is if we have a site that's not getting what it needs, I can call them up right now. I could send messages to either one of them today, and I'd get a message back in 10 minutes. They care. All right. Jeff, you had a couple more things you wanted to say, and then we should ask some other questions.
I see a lot of people, a lot of shop owners that are quote making money will just throw money at different programs or different folks just to shut them up.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to do. That's the other thing is you want to kind of measure. I'm looking, in my marketing, anything I'm not getting probably at least a 5-to-1. There's 2 things that I'm gonna look at personally, and that is what proportion of my business is coming from something. So I might have something that's sending me a lot of customers, but the average reporter is not quite as high. But I don't want to lose 5% of my new clients because I'm going to get rid of this. So it's bringing me enough new clients, and I'm able to hold on to those, get them back a second time, a third time, and then they're spending money. So I'm looking at how many new clients are coming from that, but I'm also looking at return on investment. What we're finding today, kind of average when we look at our clients' stuff, is that pay-per-click or Google Ads, we're probably seeing anywhere from about a 6-to-1 return up to, in some cases, 10, 11, 12-to-1 return. We used to see about 8-to-1 up to about a 12-to-1. Now some of it's dropped a little. Pay-per-click is not as effective in certain areas, especially when you're highly competitive. Like if you're in Denver, Colorado, there's a lot of shops there. It's very competitive, and your pay-per-click's not going to go as far. or your Google ads. If you're talking about SEO, SEM, we're actually seeing anywhere from about an 8-to-1 all the way up to a 20 or 22-to-1 on our SEO, SEM, what we're spending. And so anything that's probably at least not a 5-to-1 ROI, I'm going to take a serious look at it, and I'm probably going to want to shift those dollars into some other place. And that's the management part that I need to be doing. Is I need to be looking at it kind of, monthly, maybe even, bi-weekly. I certainly wouldn't look at it daily. It'll drive you nuts. ROI dinosaur. I'm not sure what that means. Andrew's calling me a dinosaur. I think I'll get even with you, Andrew. I promise. But return on investment. I want to make sure that if I'm spending my money, that it's coming back, and that's part of managing this whole thing.
I mean, like, what's the whole point of marketing, right? Is to attract business, right?
And the right kind too. I think that was mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't want to attract the wrong customers into my business. Nothing more painful than bringing somebody into my business that wants cheap, cheap, cheap.
Are these customers going to be profitable for the business, or are they going to be customers who keep me busy? Right? Busy is not productive.
Yeah, I would really love to shift. I need more car count. I need to be more profitable. Holy smokes! If we just focused on having the right cars in, the right average repair order, and the right profitability.
Well, somebody a while ago talking about doing market a $10 oil change. You'll fill your bays, yeah, but who's the type of customer that wants a $10 oil change? Somebody who's going to haggle you over $10.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and it might work for somebody. It might really. I hate the whole idea of lost leaders. Somebody the other day said we got to have lost leaders. One of the service advisors for one of the shops was arguing, well, we're not okay because we don't have any lost leaders. And I'm like, yeah, but you guys just did $357,000 and net 24%. So don't tell me we're not doing okay because we don't have lost leaders. I hate lost leaders. I wish the industry would just stop it. All right, Jeff, go ahead. And what other questions do we have? I know we spent a lot of time here.
Yeah,
what other questions do we got?
We'll get to Kent. The other thing was, and you touched on it right there, was car count is not necessarily always a bad thing, because you mentioned you go back and you look at what you had last year. But the other deal is a lot of these shop owners are starting to notice that, hey, there's cars that are not profitable for us to work on. When we said right now the average car is 12 to 14 years old. So we should look at and say, okay, what's the oldest cars we're going to work on? Is it 20 years? Are we at 2000? Are we?
Well, and I might argue that point a little, because I'm a greedy SOB and I hate to give anything away. So if I'm gonna work on older cars, I know it's gonna take more to find the parts. I know that there's gonna be more rust or more grease and oil and whatever. I just have a higher rate for the older cars. Ran a dealership for about a year and a half and got in, and we had 8 technicians, 31 cars a day, making no money at all. And the techs were like, we're not going to work on anything older than 7 years. And I was like, BS, you're not going to work on anything older than 7 years. If it comes in and it's older than 7 years, we're just going to charge $30 more an hour. And we went from like 600 hours, because dealerships, it's all about hours, up to well over 3,000 hours in that place in 6 months. And so, but if you're like, I'm in a place where it's really rusty, and when I get a 10-year-old car, I can't work on it, then don't work on 10-year-old cars, Or if you have problems with, I can't get parts for Tesla, then don't work on Tesla. Or if I can't get parts for, I don't know, Land Rover, we don't have enough information, it's too hard for us, don't work on Land Rover. If you're really good and you're really profitable in my shop, Jeeps, hell, I'd rather spend my money marketing Jeeps. People love their Jeeps. I don't get it. I don't own one, but
well, just
they
because
love
you
their
don't fit
Jeeps,
in
they'll
one,
spend
Dad.
tons of money.
That's not fair.
Yeah, shut up. That's not. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so does anybody else have a question for Cecil? We got Pete, we got Craig, we got Andrew. Andrew been commenting on there. Anybody else have a question they'd like to ask Cecil?
I promise you, if I don't know enough about it, I won't speak about it. I'll tell you I don't know enough. which means probably I won't tell you that ever.
Okay, so the next part, let's go to Kent. Kent, when is Mars? And the folks should know Mars is marketing auto repair shops.
Yep. So we've got our third marketing for auto repair shops conference coming up. One of the things, especially relating to what we're talking about now, is once you understand, again, everything we've talked about, and you're really ready to focus on your marketing, we've lined up our presentations to kind of give you a full-fledged plan on your marketing. I mean, we're going to be talking about some of the new cool stuff that's happening with AI, how you can leverage that in everything you're doing for marketing, how to define your avatar, who you market to, and how, all the way to, leveraging the current customers that you already have, right? Referral programs, and then how you would scale your marketing moving forward, and a ton more. I mean, there's a lot that's going to happen there. And then at the end of it, what we do is we do these breakout sessions. We have a whole format for them where we help you build out your marketing strategy for the next year. So after you've gone through all the presentations, you've got all these phenomenal ideas on what you're going to be doing. We help you put it into an actionable plan before you go home from the conference. That conference is happening March 21st through the 23rd. So it's coming up, and spots are going fast. So make sure you go and register real quick, and get your marketing in order. Plus you get to come hang out with us, which is always fun.
And so we're talking 3 days, the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And the breakfast and lunch is included. And
Oh, we feed you.
breakout
Yeah.
sessions, and the hotel is close by. It's
Mhm.
flying into Salt Lake, and y'all are just north of Salt Lake. If you haven't
Yeah.
been to
About
the
a 30-minute drive, a beautiful drive, by the way, because you're literally driving right up along the Rocky Mountains. So on one side you've got Salt Lake, and then you've got the Rocky Mountains shooting straight up. So it's a 30-minute drive north of Salt Lake City. You hang out with us in our hometown of Ogden.
And the big part there is, like we said, we are not the marketing professionals. Y'all are bringing them in order to educate all these shop owners to know if they've got folks just calling them and just trying to take their money, or if they've got folks that are really interested, because you're going to have some of them there. And the big thing about that is, I picked up from Cecil, was you can have a big company and they actually service other shops in your area. So they're kind of spreading it out versus going to a smaller company that specializes on you in your area.
It can be a real travesty when you have, especially with some of these bigger companies, what they'll do is they'll cut corners because it's easier than taking the time to spend to build out the value in your marketing. And that's kind of what Google is looking for, is the value. How can I get the most relevant person assigned to this search? Right. And so that means that they're looking at everything you're doing on your website, the keywords, the images. Believe it or not, Google's even looking at the content in the images. They can identify what type of vehicle it is, even down to an estimate of the age of vehicle, by the way. It's nuts how much information Google can get from a single photo. And so this conference really is to put the experts in front of you guys so that you can get the knowledge to be dangerous, right? So that when you do go work with these marketing companies, you know what to ask and what to look out for, so that you're not getting taken advantage of. And in fact, you can leverage that to get the most out of your marketing.
Even, Google loves a video right now. Don't ask me why, but Google has decided video is a great thing. So even what kind of videos, and we've even tailored our videos. They're shorter, they're more concise, because that's what Google likes. Dan and I talk once or twice a month, and we often argue because I'm like, well, I want it to look pretty, and Google says, and Dan is like, well, Google doesn't care about that. It wants to see certain things, and we're going to make sure those things are there, whether it's pretty or not. I always say you got to be careful, because if you hire a website company, then you're probably not going to get the SEO, SEM that you really want, or the social media. But if you hire an SEO, SEM company, you're probably not going to get the website that you want. You kind of have to maybe have to sacrifice a little bit on, the website's probably not as pretty, or it doesn't quite have exactly what I think it should. But if that's what Google wants, then that's what I'm going to do. Dan and I fight about this all the time. We have this little argument. I'm like, well, yeah, but I want that picture there. No, Google doesn't like that. Don't do that. And I trust them enough now. I mean, I have enough experience that it's like, okay, all right, then we're going to do it this way. I think if you're smart, you have mentors in your life. You have good people, coaches that you maybe you don't even work with them, but you talk to them. You go to the J&J show or one of the other great podcasts, and you get some information, and you get to like somebody, and you have some conversations with them. I would do it in marketing. I would certainly do it in running my business, probably multiple areas of my business. I probably have 8 or 10 people that I talk to fairly regularly that I would qualify as mentors, people that are really specialists in an area that I can have a conversation. And at the Mars conference, we're literally bringing in all the top companies and speakers in these different areas that we know. And I just don't think you get that anywhere else. It's not even about money or looking good. It's literally the top people in these areas that we know.
And this is an opportunity that they can't get going to the different training, because when they go to the training deals, it's like, okay, here you pick. Do you want to go for a shop owner? Do you want to go for a service writer class? Do you want to go to one of
This is
Cecil's?
the most comprehensive experience in regards to your marketing. We
Yeah,
cover all of the bases.
And to make a comment about that, holy crap, if shop owners actually learned how to be shop owners and they learn numbers and margin and stuff, what would it do for the entire industry? I got a post from Lucas. I can say Lucas here, and I asked some questions on his stuff, and he sent me a thing. They'd worked on, I don't know, 56,000 vehicles in this one particular shop, and their average repair was extremely low, and they had a, I don't know, $19, $20 oil change or whatever it was. And I thought, oh my gosh, here's a guy that's just, it's bad for the industry to make people think that you could actually really take care of them and their car for $20, $25. It's not even possible. Are the customers really being served? Are the cars really being served? I find that interesting. Man, if our industry if every owner went to, ownership classes, management classes, leadership classes, financial classes, marketing stuff, and got smarter about all of that, it would raise the level of the industry. It would just, and it would make it so much easier for all of us. There's something to be said for having a great technician, but because you're a great technician doesn't necessarily make you a great shop owner. And you have to graduate at some point. There's some interesting things about like running $1 million company, running a $3 to $5 million company, running a $10 million plus, running a $50 million company. They take different skill sets, right? And so if you don't learn a new skill set, you don't get from 1 million to 5 million. You can't. You don't have the skill, you don't have the tools, right? To speak in, technician language. I open my toolbox, I don't have the tools there. I was a great tech when I was a tech, but when I became a service advisor, I had to learn how to be a service advisor. I had to learn about sales. I had to learn about people. When I wanted to be a manager, I had to learn about managing people, and I had to learn about financial numbers. And, when I wanted to run a great business, I had to learn enough about marketing that I knew I didn't know enough, and I had to get some other people involved. It's been very fun throughout my career to watch, guys. Andrew's one of our clients. Craig's one of our clients, has been for a very long time. And it's just so fun to watch these guys learn new skill sets and grow and grow their businesses. We need to get different skills, and being a great tech is one thing if I'm going to be a tech and be a great tech, but being a great business owner is something else.
And just because you're a great tech doesn't mean everybody knows you're a great tech. That's why you got to market, so people people hear that you're a great tech.
Well,
Kind of funny. I was talking to a new person. We have some people that we do kind of non gratis because they're in a position where they're it's really difficult. I had one of those new people come to me recommended by some other people that we know in the industry, and I was talking to this gal tonight, and she was like, I don't even know about what to offer the clients. I started talking about, well, instead of talking about price, you should be talking about your warranty. You should be talking about the quality of the product that you do. You know, you should be talking about the great techs that you have. You know, unique selling proposition things that create value for the right client. And she didn't know these things. She just didn't have any idea. And it was very interesting to have that conversation for someone that's running a shop and trying to be successful that just didn't have those skill sets. And I spent an hour with her literally talking about unique selling proposition and answering objections and creating value for the person on the phone. It's kind of funny. It wasn't me, but someone else was talking to her and said, well, you got to raise your labor rate, put this parts matrix in place. And she got a few complaints at the counter. So she was $121 an hour. She lowered it down to 119. And all of a sudden, quote unquote, the complaints stopped. Well, they didn't stop for $2. Nobody gives a crap about $2. Her confidence grew because it was a little less, and she thought, okay, they're not going to complain. People don't. If you bring value to them, they don't care what the cost is within reason. And by the way, I've never figured out what's unreasonable at this point. Every shop I've ever run successfully, even the shops that we work with hundreds of shops now. And the shops that are most successful continuously are the highest priced guys. They're not the cheapest guys. The cheapest guys are constantly working on new car count and dragging people through. It's the people with the higher price, the higher average repair order that actually have the more consistent business.
It seems like such a conflict, right? We speak to a lot of these shop owners and they're like, I want to provide the best service. I want to, have my employees have medical and dental and all these benefits. I want to have new equipment so that we're doing the best and all that. How do you expect to do this if you're not charging for it? The money has to come from somewhere, right? It has to come from the customers that you serve. Your customers should pay for the added value you provide. It should help fund that so that you can provide the better service. You can take care of your people, right? And then you can put some money in savings so that you're not at age 60 and don't have anything left and are worried about retirement.
Hey,
So-
wait a minute.
If the folks are interested in Mars, you put on the chat there, but we'll mention it because it'll be on the recording. They go to www.wearetheinstitute.com/Mars marketing, and they need to go ahead and register now because it's coming up March 21st to the 23rd. And also, everyone knows that the longer you wait to book your airplane flight, the price
More
is
expensive it gets.
And
I
so,
can also tell you that there are a limited number of seats, and when the seats are full, there's no more.
Yeah, we have limited seating because it is very involved. It's not every just a ton of people. It's very involved. We want to have the one-on-one with you guys so we can help you with your marketing
and the participation. You don't want somebody just sitting back there. The other thing, when we talk about all this training and we talk about in the availability to talk with Cecil and where your shop can afford the services of the Institute, is y'all have different training available that's through the gear, and that's like online. So it's like, okay, here's a place you can start getting some of this training because this is your library, and basically it's the classes that the different folks have taught, everywhere from Dan Vance, on down, different folks in your company that have taught these classes, and they have access to that.
We have several marketing classes. I think I have one or two I've taught that will go through figuring out your avatar, creating a marketing plan. What are the 7 things you should do, you got to do, and then what are the rest? What are here's 40 other ideas for you. And I don't know, I can't remember what the cost is on that, but I don't think it's over $100. You can buy a membership to the Gear for Shops and you get access to all the classes. We're adding classes. We just added actually some technical training into the thing, and we're going to spread that out. And it's just we do have a lot of different stuff there. You want to get good on answering the phone and dealing with phone shoppers. We have probably the best class there is, about 2 hours long. Again, I can't remember, but I don't think it's 100. Kent's laughing because I'm like, that class is only $59. And then Kent's like, no, it's a little more than that, Dad.
No, Craig's messaging me.
And
Yeah.
we're talking.
Oh, is that why you're laughing? Because Craig's giving you crap.
If you guys are looking for something, we try to offer an entry level at any point. So whatever stage you're at in your journey as a shop owner, we want to have an entry point for you. And Gear is a great place to get some free content to get you started. So if you don't know us and you don't know anything about us, obviously you can ask Craig or Andrew here. They've worked with us for a while, but if not, you can go take some of our free courses on there and get a feel for what we teach, what our philosophies are. I mean, really the Institute's here just to help raise the industry. Hence, better business, better life, better industry. If we can improve your business, it improves the lives of the people you serve and the team that you're involved with, and that raises the bar for the industry.
And you also,
I don't want this thing to be a whole sales thing. I want to help you and I want to answer your questions. So if you have, hey, what should I do here? Or this happened to me, or, how do I plan this? Those are questions that I'd love to answer.
And the other deal is y'all are all the time looking to improve the industry. And you've just recently added Michael Smith and the next level of training. And you have those at the headquarters there also.
The average shop owner right now gets 2.8 times EBITDA, earnings before income tax, depreciation, and I can never remember the A. I always want to say accumulation. But it's a form of depreciation. It's just done differently because it's soft assets, not hard assets. So they get about 2.8. So if you made, 100,000 last year in bottom line profit, then your business is worth about as on average about 280,000. Michael in his company, he's now part of our company. We brought him in because Michael knows how to get more out of that business. So if you want to have multiple shops, that's great. We can teach you how to do that and how to get probably as much as 10 or 12x out of your business. It takes $1 million in EBITDA to do that. It would take probably, in most cases, multiple shops, because the average shop isn't going to do $1 million in EBITDA, although we have quite a few clients that actually do that even in one shop. We also, if you're an owner who's like, I don't want to build the shop, I don't want to build, I don't want to go out and get 5 shops, I don't want to do that. We have people that are interested in purchasing shops that run well and that will pay, 4, 5x, maybe even 6x for a shop that runs well. So we're putting all this together right now. We call them venture strategy networks, where we can get shop owners that are saying, hey, I want to get more out of my business, and I'm going to do that here fairly soon. Great. We can help you get maybe 1 or 2x more than you might get otherwise, which can be a lot. I mean, if you're, making 200,000, it could be another 200,000 or 400,000 out of your business for retirement. So those are,
venture strategy networks.
Yeah. And then we also have guys who say, I want to build 50 shops. I want to have my empire. We can help you with that. Probably better than anybody can. Today we have Michael Smith and his program. And we also have guys, we've put together deals with venture capitalists where they've bought shops for 10x and more.
One of the things that we're really nervous about is, a lot of you guys have probably seen, there's a lot of PE companies that are coming into the space. They like our market. They like our industry. And some of the travesty that's happening is that these guys feel like they can't get enough out of their business, and they're selling it at pennies on the dollar to these sharks. They are sharks. And because they're going to buy up market share as quickly and as easily as they can. And they're not nice about it. We want to make sure that the shop owners who are at that stage, who either want to grow and develop or want to sell and retire get the most out of their business, because they've worked damn hard for it. And so we want to make sure we can get as much out of it for you as possible. That's why we brought Michael in. That's why we've invested so much in these different programs, so that we can help anybody get the value out of their business.
And we can't, I mean, I can't promise you 10X, but we've certainly done that. It depends on what you want and how we can help you get what you want and maximize, you. We're going to have people that basically they're going to get out in the next few years. I want to get out. We've actually had some people that did say, I want to get out, but now they're like, I'm reinvigorated. I want to go out and get 5 or 6 shops because now I'm going to sell it for X millions. And that's wonderful. And we've had people that already have 15, 20 shops we joined with other people that have 15, 20 shops and made the whole thing worth a lot more. And we know that venture capital is coming in the industry. It's one of the things we're going to have to deal with. There is going to be consolidation. I would venture, there we go, that sometime in the next 15 to 20 years, probably somewhere around 70 to 80% of the industry is going to be owned by venture capital, because they've identified the industry, and we've watched that happen in auto body. We're going to see that happen in auto repair. In the next 15 to 25 years, venture capital is going to come in, consolidate the industry. There's not much we can do about it. We've seen it in hardware stores. We've seen it in grocery stores. We've seen it in all kinds of areas. So we want to help our clients really maximize their return and be as prepared as possible for the future. And that's one of the things that we've invested in, because we do have a mission statement and a goal to raise the industry and to improve the lot of even the from the shop owner to the people that work for the shop owner and even the clients.
Well, Cecil, thank you so much for your 7 steps and for sharing your ideas about the Clark County marketing. As always, we appreciate everybody watching.